Hello buddy, welcome back. I'm the Strategy Professor, and today we're going to be doing a Zyra coaching session for patch 8.13. So special thanks to Sean for the very generous donation. I really appreciate it. You can find access to this Google Doc in the description if you just want to jump straight ahead to the game start time. I'm just going to go over for the first few minutes just some rune consideration, items, and skill order. Then at the very end, I'm going to go over the top 5 to 10 things I think Sean could do to really improve his game. So, let's see. Got my sheet of paper here. Almost forgot to get my pen. Alright. So we should be good to go. So let's go ahead and get started. If you would like a coaching session yourself, you can email me at thestrategyprofessor@gmail.com. I'm more than happy to set that up. It's just a $20 donation if you're not a member of the channel. If you are a PayPal member of the channel, then it's just $15 for a coaching session. You can also come play with us every Tuesday for normals games. You can join the awesome Discord that we have. And if I have a 30-minute dodge during a ranked night, which is, 6 nights a week, often if you're interested, then if you download the PBE and just hang out in the Discord, then I'll play some games with you during my dodge as well, or play a game with you during the 30-minute dodge. So it's got a lot of perks if you want to join. I've got a link here for you as well if you would like to become a YouTube member. It doesn't come with the discount on coaching, but it does come with fun things like special emojis for the channel, green text recognition, and so on and so forth. Very similar to a Twitch membership. It also comes with the Discord and the privileges to play with us on Tuesday and during dodges. Okay, if you want to watch more coaching videos, I have a link here for you. I think this is going to be like the 118th video or so. I've got a lot of them. So if you can't quite swing the donation to get a coaching video yourself, go check out some of the other ones. I think you can still learn a lot out of it, for free on the channel. Most of the people that we do coaching sessions for are more than happy to have those sessions show up on the channel to help everyone else out. If you would like in-depth champion guides, I have those as well on the channel. I do have a Zyra one, and I have probably about 30 other ones on the channel that you can find under my channel guide link here as well. Okay, but let's go ahead and get in here. And if you do like the content, if you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps other people find the channel and enjoy the same kind of content that I hope you're enjoying as well. Okay, so Zyra, pretty strong overall on patch 8.13. You just got to be a little careful picking her into Assassins because she does lack the mobility and the defensive stats to help sort of get away from those Assassins. Sorry, my wife just texted me a cute picture of our daughter there. But she is a powerhouse in lane, so if you can get far enough ahead in lane, it may not matter if the Talon goes 5-0 in mid lane, if your AD carry goes 5-0 as well bot lane. So I recommend, high pressure lane runes. So you want to go Comet or Airy. Airy gives you better poke damage throughout the laning phase. Comet gives you better burst damage. So if you hit them with your E and the Comet's guaranteed to hit, then Comet's going to be better. But if you're just doing some light poke damage with Qs, which is very useful against highly mobile champs in the bot lane that are difficult to hit with an E, so like an Ezreal or a Lucian, then you might want to max Airy in lane. Otherwise, you might want to max Comet. Also, if they have a lot of sustain in lane, so they have like a Soraka or a Nami or a Sona or just something that can probably heal through your poke, then you might want to go with Comet instead of Airy. But most people take Comet, but there are circumstances where Airy could be better. Mana flow is pretty standard. There's just nothing better at this rank for Zyra. I guess if you're against a brand, you could maybe take the like the Spell Shield one, but that, you don't want to take Nimbus or anything like that. Now, this one is a little more flexible. Historically, you would get Celerity because the extra move speed's so good on Zyra because she's slow anyways. But I think after the nerf to Celerity and you don't have any way to increase your move speed to take advantage of that extra AP ratio that it has on it now, I think Transcendence is actually pretty reasonable. Just because she has a really hard time getting access to CDR, but she really, really wants CDR because her plants have such a long cooldown on them. Hey, thanks for the sub. I appreciate it, Jamie. But yeah, I think Transcendence is probably the way to go. You could also go Absolute Focus if you want to do a bit more damage in the laning phase. I could definitely see an argument for that. But having that CDR on your ult for later on in the game is very nice. And then Scorch is standard. Like, you can take Gathering Storm, but you're really playing Zyra for super heavy early game pressure. So yeah, you're losing out on some AP later in the game, but that really doesn't matter as much. Like, you gain more AP by getting your advantage early, right? So if you get a kill or two in lane and Scorch helps you do that, or if you deny resources from your enemy, that's also gaining an advantage, right? So if you're able to get 2 kills a tower, and then starve out resources from the enemy, that can be better than getting, you know, whatever, 24 AP at 20 minutes into the game. So it's important to keep that in mind, that AP that you're getting off of Gathering Storm is not free. It's not a free 24 AP at 20 minutes. It's at the price of not having Scorch and losing a lot of your early game pressure, which I don't think is worth it most of the time. So you definitely want Scorch on high pressure laners such as Zyra. And then Bone Plating and Chrysalis I think are pretty standard. You just need a lot of protection. You want to be doing all-ins in the laning phase, and this helps protect you a little bit from ganks as well. The Chrysalis translates over to AP at a decent rate. And then Bone Plating is just pretty standard. It's one of the most powerful runes still in the game. It blocks a lot of damage over time. Other options might include, you know, you could go something like a Stopwatch plus Cosmic Insight, or Stopwatch plus Boots if they have an Assassin and you think that you might need to get a Zhonya's down the line. It's really bad to have to get a Zhonya's because you're losing out on a lot of potential damage if you do. But if you can kind of see the writing on the wall, if they have a Zed, you know, mid lane, and you do your due diligence, you do your research, you know that Zed has a lot of experience on the Zed, and they're up against somebody, you know, who doesn't have a lot of experience on whatever they're playing mid lane. Well, you couldn't know that when you're picking your runes, but anyways, if you think you're going to have a problem with an AD Assassin and you need, you know, Zhonya's, then you might consider going Cosmic Insight. But yeah, outside of that, I don't think there are a lot of other options. You know, you could try to go something like Eyeball Collection plus like Ulti Hunter or something like that in the Domination tree, but I really don't think that's going to be that good for her. So yeah, I think this is what I would take most of the time. Good build orders, and this is pretty, you don't have a lot of flexibility with Zyra. I mean, it's always Frostfang Sorcerer Boots. You have to have that damage early on, ASAP. And then I highly recommend going Liandry's into Rylai's. This is your best 1-2 punch for sort of your mid to late game damage spike. It's so good because your plants will apply that slow, and that will apply the double damage off of Liandry's. Because your plants stay around for so long and they hit people so often, it's just going to be proccing, you know, the Liandry's a lot. So that's why you want it. You will see some people getting Morello. This can be decent if the enemy team has a Mundo or something like that, and you don't want your AD carry to have to buy an Executioner's. It takes a while to get Morellos though, and you're not getting that much out of it. You know, you're getting 80 AP, which is also what Liandry's has, I believe. It's either 70 or 80. For basically the same price, you're also getting... Here, I'll just compare them real quick for you, and then we'll get into the game. And I have an entire video on AP item efficiency. So be sure to check that out if you want to know, like, what's the relative value of different items. It does tell you, you know, here sort of what the relative value is, and this is pretty close, but it can't really quantify the passives a lot of time. And so I quantify the Liandry's for you in that. It is an extremely gold efficient item. You know, it's between 150 to 180% efficiency. This is 100%. Now, it doesn't include Grievous Wounds in that equation. So, you know, you might get an extra, I don't know, even, you can be generous and give it an extra 30% value here. It's still only going to be 130%, so it's nowhere close to Liandry's. If you want to include, like, the entire value of an Executioner's, it doesn't have the AD on it. But even then, you would only get, you know, like 125%, 126% efficiency out of it. So it's not nearly as good. Now, if you look at this, this only says 81%. But it doesn't include Madness, which is going to be 10% extra damage. And then it doesn't include this, which is just a massive amount of damage. So, you know, if you're not sure about that, you're like, I don't know about that efficiency, go watch my AP video. I break it down, I explain it to you. All of the numbers, I think I spent like 10 or 15 minutes specifically on Liandry's in that video. So it'll break it all down for you. But basically what it comes down to is they have the exact same AP, the exact same health. This has 15 pin. This has 10% total damage. And then this has Torment, which is 3% of the target's max health, which becomes 6% of the target's max health once you combine it with Rylai's. So that's the huge difference, is, you know, that 15 pin is very helpful. I think in most cases when I ran the test, the 10% damage was going to be higher. It does take time for the 10% damage to build up, so it doesn't have that instant burst. And it's definitely way better against tanks. So that's kind of a wash. 10% damage, 15 magic pen. Maybe the magic pen's better, especially earlier on off the first component. But this Curse Strike versus Torment is just not even close. This does an astronomical amount more damage. Unless you, once again, are cutting the damage from a Mundo or some other priority target that's healing a lot, you know, then you might consider this. But Leandri's is much, much, much stronger most of the time. Okay, then you want to be maxing your E and then your W and then your Q last. Some people max Q after E. I think that's a mistake because the main thing that limits how much damage you're going to deal is your plants, right? So you want to have the plant uptime as much as you can possibly get them. So that's the big deal there. So you want as many W's as possible. This will also allow you to poke a little bit more and it'll allow you to scout a little bit safer by using your plants and still have them ready for the main fight. So I think that that's the best way to go about it. You can get, you know, 2 to 3 points of Q in lane if you want to use that for poke. That's fine. But just keep in mind that you're waiting on your plants anyways, most of the time in the laning phase. So you can sit there and spam your Q, but it's not going to do very much damage unless you have your plants to accompany it. And your plants have like an 18-second cooldown until you get more points in W. So yeah, you can get 3 points of Q in lane, and it's on a shorter cooldown than your E, but it's not going to matter because you're going to spam it with no plants on it, and it's just not going to do enough damage to justify getting those points. The E, on the other hand, does more damage and stuns or roots for a lot longer than it used to. So you really want that root maxed out so that you can hold people in place for your plants when you go in for that all-in burst. So you really want to be maxing that E out. Okay, let's go ahead and get in here and watch this game. For our little preamble here. There we go. Alright, so we're going to be on the blue side here. Turn that up a little bit.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Okay, looks like he took Comet. It's good.
30 seconds.
Standard.
Spawn.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get out of there. If you see him, just run. Like, oh, be careful. Oh, they could be right there. Yeah, that's really risky. You don't want it, because you just saw them right there, and you don't have vision here, and it's very common for people just to come here and sit, and they would have killed you. Probably. They could have forced your flash, but they could have flashed after you, too. You don't want to do that. I'll show you a trick here. If you are worried about this, if you want to make sure they're not taking this, what you'll do is you loop around here, all the way around, because they could be sitting in this bush too. Run all the way around here, come up here, stand right next to this wall, and then ward over into this bush. That's how you check it safely. But yeah, they could have very easily looped through here and like hid here. They could have hid here. So just go all the way around the safe way once you see him in the jungle, and then if you're really concerned about it, you can drop your ward. You can reach, if you stand right here on this edge, you can reach the tip of this with your ward, and that's the better way to check it. Okay, so you didn't pay for it here, but I know one thing in your email that you said is you want me to try to catch things that you might be getting away with, right? I think you said that this was a pretty good game for your team. Spoiler, I guess, minor spoiler for people out there watching, but I'm going to focus some on the what-ifs and where the jungler is, too. Now, when did these people show up to lane? So I was talking about that. This is one way how you can spot the junglers. See how long it takes them to show up to lane. Okay, now he has some damage on him, too. I don't know why he's moonwalking or whatever. What is going on here? Okay. I don't know what was up with that. But he even had a little bit of damage on him, so that's... Unless they're really trying to make the hard sell to fake you out, that means he started blue, which means the most common route is blue to wolves over to red. Now that may have changed with the recent jungle. They may have stopped off to get a scuttle, so you gotta be a little careful with that. Keep an eye on what Warwick's doing up here. Okay, he's not at his red, so that's really dangerous. So that means you need to be watching out bot lane. Oops. Okay, Orianna teleported middle. You should probably ping that. You want to make sure you're pinging everything if you see any summoners. And you need to spend, like, one tip to improve a lot is spend about 50% of your time watching the minimap when you're not in a big fight. At least 50%. Okay, Talia's middle. 50% watching the minimap, and then 50% watching your lane. Especially if you're just kind of in a farm off here. And if you see the jungler somewhere, you need to ping it. So we know she's on the top side of the map. She's probably doing raptors, maybe. She may have backed. Have you dropped your ward yet? Where'd you drop it? Oh yeah, you dropped it over here, over that wall. That's right. As soon as that blast plant spawns, you need to go over there and knock it out. I don't think it's up yet, but... Now this scuttle is still up, so they might try to go contest that scuttle. So you need to be careful. Like, you're kind of hanging back, which is good. I would... You do have Warwick kind of around. Yeah, I would definitely ward that. Okay, nice. There she is. And back up. She's gonna E, you're gonna have to flash. Yeah, it was... Oof, she missed it. You want to wait until she E's first and then flash. Her little knock-up. I'm pretty sure that's her E. Whatever her knock-up is. Might be her W. But you gotta wait for that and then flash. She seems pretty inexperienced. Yeah, run. Just get out of there.
A summoner has disconnected. A summoner has reconnected.
Huh. She used her ult there, but she didn't have mana to cast a Q. No, now she got it after she leveled up. Okay, what'd you get? Frostfang. Okay, good. Control ward. Wait on Lucian to come up here, and then I want you to control ward this bush. Because that's going to deny them vision. This is a very common defensive place for them to put vision, so go over here and just ward over this wall into that bush. Keep in mind that your mid laner's not warding, though. So if the Talia wants to get sneaky, she can still run through here and around the back and get you. So ward here, but also be aware of what she might be doing. You don't need to ward this, though. It's too defensive. Considering that you guys should have the domination. I don't think Karma's here. Okay, she might be in that bush. I guess she's in back. Okay, you guys definitely have a huge advantage, but you gotta wait on this wave to thin out. You never want to fight in a large minion wave. Okay, Talia looks like she might just camp you here, so... You guys have a big advantage on Karma now, though, because she hasn't backed. Just hang out for a little bit. Give Talia time to go away. She's probably going to go to blue buff. It just spawned. She may be in that bush, so you need to be careful. See what Warwick finds in the jungle here. Try to push this lane up, too, as much as you can. So, like, okay, there she is. Yeah, she's just dead. That's fine. Yeah, she's in a really bad place right now because Warwick's going to get her blue. He's already jacked a couple of her camps. He should be a higher level. Yeah, he's one level up on her right now. Yeah, I wouldn't pink there just because you guys have a dominant lane position right now. Drop 2 pinks? Yeah, you don't need to double pink that because you know it's not going to be warded because they haven't had enough lane priority to do. I mean, I guess Talia maybe could have stopped by and control warded that, but It's a very low probability that that's a ward, and if it is a ward there, if Talia dropped it there, so we didn't see Karma go over there. If there is a ward there, it's only going to be a 1-minute ward. So it should be down soon. So yeah, I think it's a little bit early to double ward to that. And I wouldn't ward. This is a very uncommon place for them to ward. If you want that blast plant, is that what you were after? Is you're trying to get the blast? Let me see. A good trick if you want the blast plant. Let me see. Is just put one of your plants over the wall. Just W, and your plant will give vision right there, and then that will allow you to hit that blast plant for free without having to use your control ward. And then you want to keep your control ward here in your current lane position, so it'll deny that vision from them once again, and it'll make sure that the river is probably pretty clear for your jungler, especially since he likes to invade a lot. Speed this up. Yeah, just back. What'd you get? Okay. Now Warwick's all in her jungle, taking everything. Wait, we're... Oh, wait, what? Hold on, why are you top lane? Oh, what did I miss? Let me back up here.
A summoner has disconnected. A summoner has reconnected.
Yeah, I can't see the chat. No, don't. No. You don't want to go top lane. You have a dominant position bot lane. No, you really don't. If you were here, you could have helped them make a play. You're not going to do anything against Garen. He heals a lot. Now it's Nar's really confused. Was he telling you to switch or something? Garen can kill you. Yeah, I mean... I don't get that at all. I mean, maybe Nar was asking for that or something. I'm very confused, because you guys were winning this lane. Was Nar just, like, crying because he's getting destroyed and he was, like, demanding a lane swap? Is that what it was? If that's the case, then you need to say something like, hey man, just lane, be safe, we'll come help you in a little bit, but we gotta keep focusing down here. This is giving them a huge boon. I mean, Garen was 3-0 also, so he's very strong. If you're gonna do one of these, which I don't recommend at all as a support, rotating the top lane, especially without your AD carry, you're not designed to be a solo laner. Like, he's just gonna run over you every time he comes in a lane. Yeah, I mean, he could probably even dive you at the tower. Yeah, No. Don't ever use your ult unless you hit him with an E first, and definitely don't use it if you don't have any plants down. Your ult doesn't do any damage, and you're probably dunked again. He does not have his ult. He just didn't ult for some reason random. He's gonna dunk you. Oof. Okay, well, fortunately that heal came through. I don't know why he didn't kill you the first time. I know you were in range. You were at like 200 health. Yeah, I assume probably what happened here was Nar was crying a lot and saying that he wanted to switch. This is a terrible idea that you guys don't even have the first tower. This is letting Ezreal back in the game. You guys were stomping on him. But now he's going to get to sit here and free farm. I mean, I get, like, you guys are getting the tower up here, mostly because Garen goofed that up really badly, though.
Red team's turret has been destroyed.
You guys do get the rift for it, so, I mean, like, it's working out, but if you're crushing a lane, you don't want to nullify that advantage. Like, he's still dying down here. Alright, what are you getting? So, I mean, it worked out because this Warwick is doing a very, very good job. He's just everywhere he should be. Well, I say that, and then of course he gets caught. Yeah, you need to play very cautiously around Fed characters, so you need to watch that Garen. Like, when you rotate up there, you need to see, oh god, this guy's 3-0. Oh, he just donated another kill to this Garen.
Shut down.
Yeah, so one of the main reasons... you guys at least had Dragon. One of the main reasons that people send 2 bot all the time is to protect Dragon. That's historically why there's been 2 bot instead of 2 top. Except in the lane swap meta from like season 3 through 5. But... you're nullifying your advantage. Like, you could have shut them down. You could have kept getting deep wards in their jungle. Warwick, you could have worked with Warwick to deny all of these jungle camps like he was doing. You had a really good thing going. Like, you know, you did get top tower, you did get rift, and then middle, so that ended up working out. But this Garen just played safer. If he just played back a little bit and just warded a little bit better, then it would have nullified your advantage. It would have just forced a farm off, where Ezreal gets to farm, and then Lucian gets to farm, and that's about it. So it's fortunate they messed it up, but if the dude calls for that, you've got to tell him, like, no, just play safe. Alright, Lucian's gonna get this tier 2, probably. You gotta tell them to leave right now. They're all coming up there. Gnar didn't need to be there. He should have TP'd bottom, because they're gonna get bottom tower. Warwick rotated down there to help. Say this real quick. Sorry, I was trying to flip to this notebook to find an empty page there. When did they get that dragon? Oh, yeah, that should never happen. I mean, that's one consequence is when you split, you lost control of bottom and they got an Infernal. So they didn't get a dragon right away, but they did get an Infernal. As a consequence of Lucian not being on the bot side of the map and not having teleport. You guys lost all vision control of the area because you'd been topside. Lucian's not there. You do get a tier 2 in exchange for it. Once again, it kind of ends up working out, but that's one of the main reasons that you don't want to rotate top like that a lot of the time. Before you take care of bottom. Because you lose dragon control. up, back up. Don't chase. You don't want to be frontline. You don't want to eat a lot of free poke from Karma and Ezreal. I mean, if you miss your E, Ezreal in theory could turn around and pop you. Now, his build's terrible. He doesn't even have tier. But, like, against an Ezreal that has, like, a Sheen and a Muramana there, or a Sheen and a Manamune, rather, the unupgraded version even, you know, if he Qs you, and then just, like, E auto Qs you again, like, that can almost kill you. You're very squishy as Zyra, especially if Karma hits you with, like, a mantra Q or something. Now, they're all off the map, so they could be rotating down here. So Garen is very strong. You always want to keep track of that. Garen's super strong right now, so you want to avoid him. And on your team, you want to try to play around the Warwick and the Talon. Yeah, this game is developing quite a bit differently from a lot of games. Like, typically right now with Zyra, you want to be looking for spots. You always want to be out of vision.
Blue team's turret has been destroyed.
I'm not sure. I hope you're not rushing Rylai's, although I fear you might be. You really don't want to rush Rylai's. It's very good with Leontrix, but it's not going to do a lot of damage. I mean, this... Like, yeah, kiting, you know, slowing Garen a little bit is nice, but I still think, you know, being able to kill Garen is also nice. Now, he hasn't bought an item. He's got to have, like, 4,000 gold. He's got, like, 3,000, 2,600. Why hasn't he spent his gold? Like, I noticed that because he only still has Cleaver, and he had this, like, 5 minutes ago, and he's had several kills. So he just hasn't spent his gold. Keep an eye on him, you know, you need to be pressing tab every, you know, at least once a minute, probably more than that, but certainly when you're walking back to lane, you know, kind of waiting on something to do. There you go, catch him, catch him. Nice, nice. That's what you want to be doing, Zyra. You want to control these side bushes with control wards, and then when they try to step around these corridors, then you want to catch them. Like, whenever possible, you want to hide in the shadows and try to catch people over walls. So, like... Okay, he still hasn't fought. You need plants. You should never cast your ult without any plants. You need to always make sure you have at least one plant, usually 2 down, when you ult. Because the biggest part of your ult that does the most damage, actually, is the 50% extra damage that your plants do. It's not the initial ult damage. I mean, it's nice, it does some damage, but if you have 2 plants doing 50% more damage, that's a lot more. Because they stay enraged like that for like 8 seconds or something. Okay, so he bought stuff now. I don't know what he's buying. I don't know what he's buying, but he's got more AD. So I guess keep that in mind. This Lucian. I guess he's able to pick on the lagging Ezreal, but he's probably gonna die for it. It's not worth. Lucian's down here getting dragon. You need more wards down too. Okay, good. You did get Leandri's. I didn't see your precise back timings, but like you should try to create haunting guys ASAP before you get to blasting 1. That extra 10% damage that you get is a big deal.
A summoner has reached.
Everyone's really weak on their team right now. I mean, it's obvious, but except for Garen. But you can tab and see that. You can see Orianna, but like you're not gonna kill him. You have no plants here. That's a huge thing that you really, really have to work on. You have to have plants whenever you ult. Like that right there. If you had those, you know, even 2 of those plants with him, you'd do some decent damage to him, but you're not gonna kill him. You gotta notice that Garen has a ton of health. Like he's the one person on their team that you're not gonna one-shot. So, you know, it's okay if you want to poke him a little bit, but don't use your ults. Your ults are pretty long cooldown also. Especially because you can't get a lot of CDR as Zyra. Nope. Don't need to use your ult there. I would, you know, throw a slow plan on him or something, but you really don't want to use, like, you need to have that ult ready for the big team fight. It's a pretty poor ultimate to use on one person, unless you're, like, 100% gonna kill him. Because it has so much team fight potential. It has a huge radius. Why? Does he have Essence Reaver? Then you have Essence Reaver. I don't understand. Well, this isn't a video about Lucian, but he just randomly uses these holds. I'm like, I would maybe kind of get it if he wants to use Essence Reaver and he just like wants it available. Yeah, you need to ping them out of there. Y'all don't have proper vision for that. And you weren't there. Which is not your fault. You had to back, but you need to let them know that. Alright, make sure that you ping, like, if Garen randomly flashes like that. It's just a good habit to get into. Will everyone else play around that cooldown? Probably not at this level of play, but, you know, it's a good habit to get into because eventually they will. Okay, that was a good catch. I think you were a little bit late on that plant spawn because the W, like the one that's a lighter pink, is one that you personally cast. So I think you cast it, but you didn't get that second plant down fast enough. Yeah, that was fine on the sweeper usage. You want to make sure you put this as deep in the pit as you possibly can. Like right here, this actually won't see this back wall if they have it warded. It'll see up to like right here-ish. But if they put it right there, then I don't think this will see it. So they nerfed pink ward vision a little bit. I don't remember when they did that. I think it was last season. It used to be a lot worse. They buffed it back up. But they made it to where you can't see the river and the back of the pit at the same time. So you have to put it deep into the pit, which is annoying. Yeah, it's back up, back up. Don't front line, don't front line. It's just you. Yeah, you need to back up. I mean, I guess everybody pretty much is dead.
Blue team is slain.
But, I don't know. I could see Karma just like rolling up. Like flashing on you with their W or something. You'll probably need to leave. Yeah, I mean, they're gonna... Lucian's up top. Talon's DCing. Yeah, you gotta watch that mini. Should Lucian be with you? Yes, but is he with you? No.
A summoner has disconnected.
So you gotta...
A summoner has reconnected.
You gotta work with, what's actual and not what's ideal. So this is like, your team's kind of getting into throw territory a little bit. You guys are still pretty far ahead, but people are starting to get a little clowny here. People aren't paying attention. So like their itemization is so poor. But you're definitely getting away with a lot of stuff. Because Oriana's doing like no damage. And I guess she kind of had to get Ninja Tabby against Talon. She just kind of went overboard with the defense. She doesn't do any damage. Maybe not. I mean, he's really strong. Well, yeah. Lucian's, I guess, chasing Garen around. Yeah, you need to get people to group up. It's like, what happens? I talk about this all the time on the stream. This is so frustrating, but this is like one of the biggest things. Is that when you're winning, when you're pushing them into their base, they have to be grouped because they can't be anywhere else on the map. So they're all going to be around their base. So naturally, they're going to group up as 5. But y'all have this entire map. So you could, you know, your teammates could be anywhere wasting their time. So there's a lot more temptations. They could be in a buff, they could just be farming wolves, pushing a random lane instead of pressuring a Baron. Okay, well you had plants on that one, but once again, you're not killing Garen. With your ult, most likely. So you have to direct your team and say, hey, 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 let's group up. Or they won't. And then the enemy team gets to catch back up. So you have to like consciously work at grouping when you're the winning team a lot of times, because you don't have to be grouped. There's other stuff you could be doing. Whereas the defensive team is always going to be grouped for the most part because they can't do anything else. Like occasionally you might see someone where you push them into their base, someone random tries to go out here and farm golems. Or like push a side lane really far up. Like that does happen on occasion, but the vast majority of the time, y'all need to leave. It's just two of you. They're all gonna be spawning here. What kind of dragon we got going on? Here, dragon. Yeah, I just group over here and just work this tower. You don't have a lot of mana left though. I think you have enough. You can go over there. Yeah, you're too far forward. Like, the thing with Zyra is you don't want to be the person to initiate, to make the play, unless you are out of vision. So if you're, like, hiding in the shadows, if you're in a bush, you're, like, behind one of these walls, and you have, like, vision control, you can maybe try to catch someone with your E. But you don't want to walk right up to them in plain sight, because it's pretty easy to dodge your E if they see it coming, and you're very vulnerable. You don't have any defenses, no flashes, no dashes. So it's just too dangerous to be up on the front line. So you gotta practice, like, waiting until the enemy CCs them and then you follow up with your E, or waiting until they engage onto you. They come to you on the back line, and then you hit them with your specials. So you really don't want to be a frontliner as Zyra. Alright. But overall, nice game. You did hit some core E's. You know, you did provide a lot of pressure in lane. You were, for the most part, in the right place at the right time. There were a couple of times you were kind of out on your own, or sort of out in a disadvantageous situation where it'd be like a 2-on-3 or a 2-on-4. But for the most part, you were, you know, where you needed to be. You did the right skill order that I recommended. You bought the correct items in the right order. So all of that's really good. Just working on these few things that I have to mention here. Most of it is macro based. I hope that helped you out with the jungler early on. You guys ended up breaking the lane so fast, and then you ended up switching that, you know, tracking the jungler didn't matter as much. You could have gotten some deeper wards in there. I mean, that was one thing earlier on. When you switched lanes, you lost all the wards on their blue side, and you weren't able to get the wards on their red side as quickly because it was much more dangerous up top, especially against that Fed Garen, than it was in the bot lane, where you were against that Ezreal that was just a non-issue. So you could try to get deeper wards into their jungle. I do have videos on the channel about Vision if you want to go check those out. I think my top 5 tips for better macro talks about Vision quite a bit. And then my Vision Domination video talks about Vision quite a bit. I might do some like an updated version of those videos here pretty soon. But anyways, check those out if you want to know more about specific like tips on where to put Vision. But overall, I thought that was pretty solid. Okay, so number 1, don't swap lanes most of the time. I highly suspect it was because the Gnar was crying about you know, getting destroyed by Garen top lane. Don't do it. I mean, unless the guy says, I'm going AFK unless you switch this lane, like, maybe you have to do it. But ideally, you need to talk him out of it. You need to say, look, man, just play safe. As soon as we take bottom tower, we'll come up there and help you out. But that created problems. You know, there was confusion on the swap. I mean, really, Warwick was the glue. Like, you played a good game, you know, individually, but Warwick was the glue that held your team together and made this work. Because he was invading, really pressuring that Talia, like, slowing down her leveling process. And then he came down bottom several times and helped you shut down the bot lane. He was just kind of to the rescue a lot of the time. But, like, what happened, as you saw, like, during that switch, Ezreal didn't go up. You did go up. Garen solo killed you. And if that Warwick hadn't been there, they probably would have killed you and Lucian, because Talia was coming up there too. And it's just really dangerous if you go to the strong person. Because they have a much higher potential to be able to, you know, double kill you, because he was so fed at the time. And then that lets Ezreal free farm bottom. You guys were able to pressure him a lot, deny a lot of farm, put pressure on his tower, ward up his jungle, invade the Talia. Like, you own the entire bottom half of the map. And you gave that up when you went top, because you can't go over and, you know, ward the red side jungle or contest objectives as easily as you could have on the bottom side of the map. It did work out because Garen got really cocky and tried to 1v3. And, you know, you guys got the tower and you got the Rift Herald off of that. But if he played that a little bit smarter, it could have been very disastrous macro-wise for you guys. So I think that was a mistake. And even a lot of times, this is, you know, people have debated me on the channel with this a lot. If you take the first tower, you don't want to rotate top, you want to rotate mid. The reason for that is similar. You know, once you take that bottom tower, you have control of that side of the map. You can ward all of that up, and you can control all of the dragons. And then you can rotate from bot lane to top lane. Let me just pull up this here Rift kit. This is one of the biggest mistakes that I see in solo queue in terms of macro a lot of times. People will take the first tower bottom, and then they'll go rotate up to top lane. And that nullifies your advantage. Because the advantage, like, the tower is nice, but the real advantage is the space. Like, your ability to ward up their jungle and take control of things. So, when you get bottom tower here, right? Bottom tower's down. Then all of a sudden, all of this becomes free game for your team, right? You can actually start contesting this because they don't have anywhere they can hide now at the tower, right? So what happens usually is if this tower is up and your jungler tries to invade, then their team is going to be closer. Let me pull this in here. So if your jungler tries to invade and you guys are just kind of locked in sort of an even lane here, it's usually really bad because their team is going to be closer because they have the safety of this tower. So they can rotate up and go surround, and they can usually get there faster than you can. Right? Now, if you see your jungler invading, then you need to try to get priority in the lane, which means you need to push. So, you know, in theory, in a different game, if Warwick wasn't stomping this Talia as hard as he was, if you see Warwick, like, he's coming over here, he's wanting to invade, you need to type, you know, hold on, like ping back or whatever, say hold on, let us push. And then when you push them into the tower, you know, if you push the wave, just like use your E and your Q and just push everything into the wave, once you do that, then you might be able to rotate over here and get there faster. Because they're going to be preoccupied farming at this tower. And they have to make a choice. Well, I can either go save the jungler, or I can lose this farm at the tower. And most people will stay and farm the tower, and then you guys can invade and double team the jungle, right? But that requires a little bit more. Oh, I didn't even realize you could move that like that. That's kind of cool. But that takes a little bit more effort. When that tower goes down, all of a sudden they can't farm safely here anymore. If they go up this far, then your jungler can actually go around, cut them off and kill them. So that's one option if they want to come up and farm this far. But a lot of times what you can do is you just push them in, right? So you push them in to about like right here or so. Just be careful around this bush. Make sure they don't gank you with their jungler. But you can push them in to about right there, and you can just go rotate and do something else. And when you're doing that, they're going to be stuck right here farming even deeper. So now, you know, they're not going to get to defend any of this stuff. So then you get all of these free wards. You know, a lot of times you can sneak a ward in here, you can ward here, sometimes you can ward this try, and you can sweep and clear out their entire river. So basically you get free passage through this river, and it's always really dangerous for them to walk through the river if you're warding and sweeping it properly. And so that's the advantage. Like, getting the tower, the gold is nice, but they have less places they can hide, so it pushes them back further on the map when you push them in, which gives you the ability to ward this stuff and eventually take this stuff. Now it's going to make it much harder for them to contest these dragons. And so it's better if you do that. If you get these deep wards in here, you know, you put a ward like here, here, and here, your jungler's going to have a better time invading. You're going to get all the scuttles, you can get the dragons, and then you can still contest objectives on the map by other objectives, towers, by rotating over to middle and taking this tower. So you just want to do this little dance where, you know, you come over here, press this tower, and you can get like a 3v1 middle. You know, if they're pushed over here having to farm, then they can't leave, because if they leave, then they're going to lose all of this farm to the tower, right? They're going to lose the 2 or 3 waves that have stacked up to the tower, so they can't rotate over there. So eventually you're just going to be able to chip away at this tower and take it down. If they come over here and, let's say they push this out, say they push this minion wave out to right here again, and then they want to rotate over here, well, okay, easy fix. You just rotate back down this river that you own, right? You just come back down the river, clear this out, push it back up to here, rotate back over here, and pressure the tower some more. And you just keep doing this, running up and down the river, and while you're doing that, you have opportunities, because you have wards here. If your jungler's around, or if you just, you know, hide in this bush, if you're Zyra, you can catch them while they're rotating. So that forces them to walk through this jungle, which is not as safe anymore because you have vision in it. And it creates opportunities for ganks, right? So you can gank them and kill them. Your jungler can gank them and kill them. You're still pressuring a tower, and you're forcing them into a tough decision where they have to decide, okay, am I going to lose, you know, experience here or not? So this is all the advantage that you get, is this space, this huge space of wards and this zone of control where you can force plays, right? That's what you get when you get bottom tower. That's the real advantage. Now on the flip side, if you just rotate top, right, let's say that you guys go up here, then top laners, you know, go bottom, well, you just lost all of your advantage, right? So there's this empty hole here now, but you're not there for the wards, right? You're not on the bot side of the map to put these wards up anymore, so you guys don't have these wards. So it's like this tower never happened. They can safely, you know, farm a little bit deeper because you're not going to have wards in there. And your people, your top laner, is still going to have to play pretty far back because there are no wards. This can actually turn against you, because if your top laner gets baited into coming up here, right? So let's say they push them in and they come up here and you don't have these wards, then their jungler could come down and kill the top laner, because now they're trapped in this really long lane. So yeah, the top laner can drop a pink in here. Maybe. They're probably not going to, though. And they can ward a little bit, but it's nowhere near the same kind of ward control you have. So if they match you up here, you've gained no advantage, right? Now they're just going to have a fresh tower up here that they can contest you on. It's going to still take longer. And then you can't go in here and get the same kind of wards in this area because you don't have that tower down, right? So you're not going to be able to get the same kind of advantage. I'm trying to grab this thing, but I guess it's not going to let me. There we go. You're not going to be able to do this as easily because this tower is still available. So you're losing the advantage, which is right here. It's just going to be a farm off, and it could even be dangerous for your top laner. In the other scenario where you do an uneven lane swap, so let's say that they stay bottom, this is even worse for you. Let's say your top lane goes down here and their top lane's up here, which is what happened in your game. Now, you know, depending on the top laner, they could just wave clear up here, potentially, and it's just going to force, you know, a farm off. Their AD carry is going to get free farm down here because your top laner is not going to be able to deny that CS. Yeah, you're going to get free farm up here too, but that's that's bad because you could have pressured them out of farm. You don't want both sides free farming when you have the advantage. You want to be able to push that advantage. And now you don't have teleport up here, neither does the AD carry usually, unless it's Ezreal. So if Dragon comes up, they're going to have, you know, potentially 4 people on this side of the map to contest it, and you're only going to have 3 because you have 2 people top. And so it's almost always a bad idea to rotate top because you don't take advantage of the space that you have. On the flip side, if they kill your tower, then it is advantageous to go top and to force them to go top because then they can't take advantage of your space down here if you do that. So that, you know, that's kind of the flip side. If they take your tower, it can be okay to go top because it's the inverse of what I just explained. But if you take the tower, if you're ahead, if you have the advantage, then you need to rotate between bottom and mid, if at all possible. Now, if they have a terrible person that clears top lane, that just can't clear waves, they have like a Diana top or something like that, then they have like an Anivia middle where you're just never going to push them in, then yeah, you might have to adjust, you might have to go top lane. But assuming that the wave clear is similar on both of these lanes, then you want to try to rotate between bot lane and mid lane as much as possible. So I just wanted to break that down because you'll see that, and that's a very, very common misconception with people that will see pro players do that in certain circumstances, swap over to top, when in fact it's not the right macro call a lot of the time in solo queue if you have the advantage bot lane because you're giving up your positional advantage. Okay. Yeah, be more cautious with invades. I talked about that really early on, but if you see them all in your jungle and then you back up and lose sight of them, then you need to just assume that they're in your jungle, and you have to be very cautious about that. Similarly, if you don't have vision in an area, don't walk there, right? So there were a couple of times you were rotating. I remember one time in particular, you were rotating like through their blue side jungle right here without any vision. It was just like all dark right here, and you rotated through here and you just randomly ran into Talia. I think it was like right here. She just got done doing wolves and she ran into you here. Now fortunately she didn't kill you, she missed everything, but she could have killed you. So you don't want to walk through here if you don't have vision. Like if you're mid lane, you just have to walk around, right? You have to come through here, be very safe, put a ward here, and then rotate, you know, around this way. So just be very, very careful walking into darkness because you don't have escapes. If you're playing something like a Rakan, you know, you can maybe do that, and if they show up, it's like, oops, and you just jump over a wall or something and get away. But when you're Zyra, you don't have that luxury. You have to take the long way, you have to take the safe way all the time. Especially later on in the game when people can one-shot you. And just play around your vision as well, similar, and get your team to do that, because there was a couple of key fights where you guys tried to fight in here and you didn't have enough vision. Like you had like a ward here maybe and like a ward here, but you didn't have any wards over here, and it's just almost always a bad idea to fight in their jungle without any vision, because it's likely they have vision because it's their jungle. But when you don't have vision there, then that gets pretty rough. So just be a bit more cautious with where you're walking and just think carefully, could this be warded? What happens if the jungler's here? Okay. So I talked about this a lot, but make sure you're using plants with your ult. Your ult really doesn't do that much damage without the plants. You know, it's like, it's okay damage, but it's not really eye-popping damage without the plants. So, for example, if it's going to show us, I don't know if it'll show us or not. Looks like it doesn't want to show us today, but I think it's something like, even at level 11, it's only like maybe 300 damage, 350 damage. Like it's pretty low even at level 11, but then the plants will end up doing, after you get some AP, you know, the plants per hit will be hitting for like maybe 70, and then when they're enraged, you know, they're gonna hit for 50% extra, so the plants are gonna be hitting for somewhere in the neighborhood of like 125 to 150 each. So like 3 plant hits equal the entire ult. So if you have 2 plants there, that's like just 2 volleys. That's 4 shots. Now it does 50% less if it hits the same target, but whatever. I'm telling you, if you just have 2 plants on your ult, just like 2 to 3 volleys from those plants will do more damage than the ult itself. So you really want to get those enraged plants doing a lot of damage, especially in team fights. So there were numerous fights there where you didn't have any plants, you just ulted. And it's a pretty long cooldown. I think it's like 130 or 140 base on the cooldown. Yeah, it's not going to show us. This website, unfortunately, has been freaking out a little bit lately. But anyways, make sure you're using plants with your ult. Stay on the back line. Don't go to the front and try to land a big E on people. Wait for them to rotate onto you, or wait for someone on your team to land that CC and then follow up with your own. You don't want to be on the front trying to hit E's. I know it's very tempting. You can make the big play, but more often than not, it'll get you killed. So the only time you should be trying to initiate, like you're the first person to throw something with an E, is when they can't see you. So you're hiding in a bush, you have the area, you know, swept out, and then you're making a play from out of vision. Because a lot of times it's very predictable. If you're running up to the front line, they're going to know you're going to throw your E probably. It's a very slow-moving skill shot with a slender hitbox, so it's likely they'll dodge it. And if they hit you with anything, you're probably dead. Like, you're not going to survive any CC. So yeah, just stay in the back. Just wait on someone else to make the play, or get proactive vision and bait them. So do like a Baron bait, for example. You have a bunch of people waiting in a bush, and then you can E and blow them all up out of the bush. That's a really good thing to do with Zyra. She's excellent for bush baiting. But just like walking up to people, you know, in plain sight and trying to E them, usually is not a good plan. Okay, and then finally, so shot call more to stop the Fiesta. You can't just go along with what everyone's doing and just chill. Like, you have to be the person that says, hey, let's group up, let's go contest Baron, or hey, let's go get this tower, or hey, don't fight Lucian's top lane pushing that wave, right? And so just let them know. A lot of people don't see that, and that's the biggest thing, I think, to climbing, is do not let your team fight bad fights. If you can do that, you will win a lot of elo, more so than all these other things like the lane swapping, you know, plants on ulti, all of that stuff. The biggest thing, I think, to climb in a lot of ranks is do not let your team fight bad fights. Just tell them to wait. Just say, wait. Let Lucian get here. Wait. Ping it. Right? So you don't have to be derogatory. You don't have to say that stupid Lucian's up there doing whatever, or this idiot's over here farming wolves. Like, you don't have to say that. Just say, hey, wait. We don't have everybody. Wait on this person to get here. Because there were several fights, and once again, it's really particularly dangerous when you're ahead, because they're naturally going to be grouped because they have to be, whereas your team has a lot more temptations to go do random stuff because you own more of the map. So it's important to shot call, get the Fiesta, and close out games. If you win every game that you're winning, you'll go up in elo, because you will come back from some games that you're losing, right? Because they'll make that mistake. They'll split up, and you can engage on them. So on the flip side, if you see someone else off somewhere on the map, tell your team, fight, fight, fight. You know, that random 80 carry is down in the bot lane. Go fight at Baron right now. You know, so use that against them. But if it's you, if you're winning, don't let that happen to you, right? So if you win the games that you're winning, if you never throw, you will go up in elo, because you're going to come back in some of those games that you're losing. And so naturally, you're going to have a higher than a 50% win rate if you do that, which means you'll climb. So yeah, you have to shot call and stop the Fiesta, though. You can't just go along with everybody else and just hope for the best. You got to be proactive. Okay, well, that's going to be it. Thank you very much, Sean. I really appreciate it. Hope this helps you out. Once again, anyone else out there that wants some coaching sessions, just email me at thestrategyprofessor@gmail.com. I'm happy to set that up for you. If you want to watch more coaching sessions, you can watch them on this playlist. If you want to watch champion guides like Zyra and some of the other ones that I offer, you can find those as well in the link. So thank you very much. Don't forget, like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Come join us for the live stream as well every night around 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be a little late tonight, but we'll get there. So be sure to check that out. It's a lot of fun. We have a wonderful community. All right, thank you very much. Have a good day, and I'll see you next time.